So you might be wondering, do you think we could survive an ice age? Let's say there was an ice age that started tomorrow. Do you think that we could survive that? Why and why not? And so one of the things that I want to share is that humans actually did survive the last ice age. In fact, there were people all across the world during the last ice age that were living with all of the animals that ended up going extinct. There were people that hunted things like mammoths and different ice age animals. We do have evidence for spear points that are associated with mammoth bones. There's also sites where people have butchered or cut different bones of different ice age animals. And so humans did actually survive the last ice age. And this was actually a very important time for humans in North America, because during the last ice age is actually when you had people coming into North America for the very first time and then traveling down into South America. And so this is actually a really important time for humans in the past. And so I know for a fact that humans have survived an ice age before, but really the question of could we do it again? And I have some thoughts on yes and no. So I do think we could survive another ice age if that were to happen. It would come on a lot slower than you think it would over decades and hundreds of years. Really the biggest problem that I think is humans live a lot differently now than we did over 10,000 years ago. And so the biggest thing that I think that we would need to do is we would need to adapt. And so I don't know if you know what adapt means, but to adapt means to change something. And so we can adapt either ourselves, our bodies, or we can adapt our behavior. And so adapting our bodies is not really something we can control. These are more things that we inherit from our parents. Like I'm short, I inherited my height from my parents. But there are things that you can adapt, like your behavior. And so, for example, if I'm chilly, if I'm cold, I can put a jacket on. And so there's things that I can do to change my behavior to better fit into my new environment if something changes. And so there are a lot of people today that live in parts of the world that used to be covered with really, really large glaciers or big giant sheets of ice that covered the land. And so a major challenge that we would have if we had another ice age would be to make sure that all the people living in the places where those giant ice sheets would form would still have a place to live. So that would be definitely a major challenge that we would have. Another thing that would happen would be a lot of things would change in terms of the weather that we would expect, mostly for people that are dealing with farming and growing the food that we eat day to day. So a lot of things would change for weather patterns where it might get a lot more rainy in some parts of the world. And also the average temperature year round would probably go down. And so those are just some things that we would need to adapt to if that were to happen again. And so, yeah, humans actually did survive and thrive through the last ice age. And that's how we even had people in North and South America to begin with.